Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's SIIA Tech Chats. I'm your host, Jennifer Carl, and joining me this week is Steve Czerwinski, Chief Technologist over at Scalyr. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you start off by telling me a little bit about Scalyr, and then talk about the journey in becoming one of the fastest growing B2B companies around.
Sure, I'd love to. So the journey of the company is actually really tied in with what the original vision of the product was and the problem that we were trying to solve. This all actually starts about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the founder of the company, Steve Newman, and I were actually the tech leads in charge of building a new storage infrastructure project at Google. And that project actually would later come to be the infrastructure that drove the Google Drive project. And as we were developing this project and as we were running it in production, we just faced a lot of challenges in terms of the kind of operation side of things, the DevOps side of things. Google was already at that time treating its data centers as kind of a third-party cloud hosting service. And so as engineers, we were responsible for using this third-party cloud hosting service to run our service. And in order to keep track of the health of the service, of the performance of the service, we had to use all these different tools that the various teams at Google had cobbled together. In fact, at one point, Steve counted up the tools, and it was over 17 DevOps-related tools that we had to use in order to manage this infrastructure. And it was just ridiculous, to be honest. And so when Steve left Google and he was thinking about his next startup, his next venture that he wanted to do, this problem that we faced just kind of resonated with him. This need for just better tools, better services that allow for folks that are running services like this in the cloud to manage them and investigate performance issues. And even more so, it was more than just building this desire to build a better tool. We also just saw market trends and business needs that were pointing in this direction. With the popularity of AWS, you are seeing many more developers actually running things themselves in a cloud environment. And these are developers that are on their own. They don't have hundreds of Google engineers backing them up in terms of making tools or providing support, operations support. So there was a clear business need to have better tools that allow and enable these developers to solve this problem. And so, for us, the original vision of Scalyr was building this unified DevOps visibility tool where you can do everything from investigating the performance of your service to looking at different metrics to pivoting to dashboards, alerts, and everything else related to that. And that's what we built. We built this great tool that is just powered by unique technology, really.
So unlike a lot of products, it seems like Scalyr happens to be one of the few built for engineers by engineers. How has that aspect alone aided to user adoption?
I think in a few different ways, actually. First and foremost, just the problem that we're trying to solve. We are a tool. We are a tool that helps engineers get their jobs done. Usually that boils down to particular workflows. They have an alert that has fired and they need to investigate a performance issue, or they're investigating some sort of issue a customer is having, so they're looking at particular requests. How you attack those workflows, it's deeply embedded with your product, the user interface, and everything else that relates to that. And with us being very engineer focused, we have engineers that are coming up with the UI, the UX for solving those particular workflows. And so I think it's just better because we as engineers do those workflows ourselves, so we best understand what needs to be done to really solve those problems well. What type of features you would want, what types of views, what types of information you would want at various stages. So it's just, we're able to design the product how we would want to use it to solve the same problems that they're solving. I also think that it's helped us in terms of our outreach as well. A lot of our early customers we found through technical blog content, and part of this is we would blog about the engineering aspects of our product that we found fascinating. That, hey, we built this NoSQL database from scratch that's very scalable, fault tolerant. So we got excited and posted a blog about that. Well, the market that we're addressing is made up of other engineers that get excited by the same things because they're also engineers and they have similar opinions to us. So, these technical problems that we're talking about that we've solved with our project just resonated with them and made them much more interested to come and try out Scalyr. I also think there's a little bit of a subtle thing here as well in terms of philosophical. There's something to be said as you're using a tool. If it's not designed right, if they've made kind of questionable choices, like something looks like a regular expression but isn't quite a regular expression, it just itches, the back of your brain in the wrong way, right? And I think that's what happens when you have non-engineers trying to design an engineering tool. A lot of times you just get these things that are just off by a little bit. Whereas with us as engineers designing it, no, we're all on the same page. There's no brain itching going on.
So let's talk a little about your career with Scalyr. You've been with the company for approximately 6 years, and you've held roles such as staff engineer, head of engineering, and now you're the chief technology officer. So for our audience watching, what advice can you give to fellow engineers interested in similar roles?
For me in my career, progression, I think it's kind of a similar story that you find out a lot of early stage startups. When I started at Scalyr, it was just Steve and I, the founder of the company, and myself. And it was just the two of us for the first 3 years of the company's life cycle. We were bootstrapping, we were self-funded, we were building the product, getting initial customers and all that. And so for me, like many other people in early stage startup, I did the job that needed to be done, right? When I first joined, we need someone that built a new JavaScript layer for the product. I was traditionally a back engineer, but that was a job that needed to be done, so I did that. I spent a while digging in and kind of designing the best front-end application that I could. And then as the company grew, we needed someone managing this growing engineering team. And with my experience with the company and my expertise with the tech stack and everything else, I was just kind of the natural fit for that. So I took up that responsibility of helping grow our engineering team. And now as the company has evolved, it's become more and more apparent that we need someone that has the time to think about the product, both in terms of the features that we offer and the tech stack that we're built on from a technology perspective, making sure that we don't miss out on technology trends, that we're capitalizing and doing the right things in that department. And again, because of my history, I ended up taking up this role when Steve asked me to do that. And so it's been, kind of a really interesting journey for me and a lot of fun. I've done a lot of different things. I've had a lot of different experiences. And when I look back and I think about, the advice I would give to other people that are going through this and kind of exploring different roles. One thing I would suggest is this is a place where networking really actually can provide a lot of benefit. A lot of these different roles, VP of engineering, head of engineering, CTO, they're very fungible at startups. And I think that it's good to leverage other people's experiences with how they ran those roles at early stage startups. So I would meet with other friends of mine that had left Google and were doing startups and talk about okay, what is the role of VP of engineering? How do you judge if you're being successful in that role? What business need is a CTO addressing? How can you set up a person in that position for success? So I think that it's good just to share experiences with other people about these different roles, and also kind of go into the details of whether or not you would enjoy that role yourself. And this is a place where you have to be very honest with yourself. Not everyone is kind of cut out for each of these different roles. They really are different in terms of what kind of temperament you have, what kind of day-to-day work you want to be doing. And so it's important to reach out to other people and really understand, the different nuances of the different roles to see if that is something that you're really going to enjoy doing.
Awesome. So with all the success of your product, we're sure to see more excitement coming from your organization. What excites you most?
So I think what excites me most is that in 2019, we're finally at the stage where we're going to be able to uh, achieve the vision that we originally set out on. When Steve came to me to pitch the idea of leaving Google to join him and start Scalyr, he had this demo. And this demo really did kind of highlight how great a DevOps tool can be if you unified metrics, logs, APM, and all these other problems that are addressed by all these different tools in the marketplace right now. And when I saw this demo, it just resonated with me. I'm like, oh my God, of course, this is how you should do it. It makes so much sense that you have the same workflows that allow you to pivot to these different, traditionally siloed views of your infrastructure. And so when we started Scalyr, this is the vision that we were trying to do. But as with many startups, we ended up kind of pivoting a little bit or de-emphasizing other parts of that vision based on market needs. It turns out our logging capabilities by themselves solved a big problem in the marketplace. That's what resonated with our customers at the time because of the state of the market and everything else. And so we focused on the log management aspects of our tool, and we built the best log management tool out there in terms of query performance, scale, and even price. We're faster, scale better, but also less expensive than everyone else, which has been great for our success, but we didn't push on the rest of that vision. Well, now, after investing all this time in making a great logging product, we're at the point where we're ready to do the rest of this vision. And you're seeing the market trends actually go in this way too. You see some of our competitors starting to do consolidations and offer more features, breaking down some of the silos. And I think we're uniquely positioned where we're going to be able to really execute on that vision well. We have a superior backend technology that's going to create a platform upon which we can build all these other aspects of that vision.
Well, that has it. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. For more information on Scalyr, you can visit their websites, and we'll see you back here next week for SIIA Tech Chat.